there, fellow travelers. Mark here with Wolters World, and today we're heading to Boston and the whole beautiful state of Massachusetts. From the don'ts of Boston behavior to chowder tips, colonial charms, what to know about the Berkshires, and so much more, we're getting you ready to explore the Bay State. So here is 100-ish hours of Boston and Massachusetts. I think it's important that I bring this up right from the beginning. Even though I'm sitting here in Boston Common, in Boston, I really have to tell you, don't think Massachusetts is just Boston. Yes, Boston is super awesome with the great sports that are here, the historic sites. I mean, this is the birthplace of America, really. You really feel it when you are here, but the whole state has so much to offer. Whether you're gonna go to the Cape, or you're gonna go to the Vineyard, or you're gonna go out to the Berkshires, you're gonna explore so much when you're here. And you're gonna, I mean, we spent, time in the Berkshires and the mountains in western Massachusetts, and the towns that are there, and the hikes that are there, and the mountains. It's just gorgeous. Or you're going on the coast. I mean, there's so much more to see and do than just doing Boston. I mean, do Boston. I mean, don't skip out on Boston, but don't think this state is only Boston. And going with that, I think another thing I need to tell you is don't say things wrong when you visit here, because you'll see one thing and then people pronounce it a different way and you're not really sure where you're supposed to be going. I mean, yeah, I know people talk about Worcester and how that's spelled versus how it's said, but it's not just that. There's Cape Cod, which is gorgeous to go to and spend your summers on and vacation there. But you don't say Cape Cod, you say the Cape. Martha's Vineyard when you're there. You don't say Martha's Vineyard, you say the Vineyard. So you need to know these things. Dunkin Donuts, it's just Dunkin. The Berkshires, it's not Berkshire. This is not Lord of the Rings, it's the Berkshires, okay? So you think about this, you're like, wait, how it's said can be a bit different than what you expect. We have friends that live in Swampscott, which you would really look at and say Swampscott, but no, it's Swampscott. Okay, so just realize this. Don't be surprised if what you spell and what you say don't really add up when you're here in Massachusetts, okay? And I know I mentioned Dunkin' before, but I also think it's kind of important that you don't diss Dunkin' Donuts when you are here, or don't diss Dunkin', because people really do love Dunkin' here. I mean, I've seen tons of jokes about it, but it is everywhere in the state. And it'll be in a historic building, it'll be in a mall, it'll be in a, by a gas station, it'll be all over the place. So if you're a tourist and you're not sure what to get for breakfast, or maybe your hotel you're in doesn't have breakfast, guess what? Dunkin' is just around the corner to help you out. So grab some munchkins and have yourself a good start to the day. But really, don't diss Dunkin'. They don't like that. So another don't I have for you is when you do come here to Massachusetts is don't forget to brush up on your history. Not just US history, but a lot of history, because this state is full of historic sites. Yes, you can come here to Boston and you can see really the birthplace of the American Revolution. One if by land, two if by sea. Yes, that church, that's here. You can walk the Freedom Trail, these red bricks. You go down, you see cemeteries and churches and historical buildings that you're like, wait, I learned about these in my history books. Yes, that's here in Boston, okay? But the history isn't just in Boston. You can go to Plymouth, Plymouth Rock. You can go to Salem, the Salem Witch Trials. You can see that. Go out to the Berkshires, the museums they have there in the individual towns will really teach you a lot. And you're going to see there's historical markers throughout the state. Famous people that you've heard of, and Susan B. Anthony or Johnny Appleseed, they're from here, right? And so you have spots that mark that. So the history of the US, you can learn a lot about it when you're here, and some of it's newer history and fun history. You can go to the Basketball Hall of Fame. Yep, that's in Springfield, Massachusetts. You can go check that out. Norman Rockwell, if you loved him, they've got a museum about his work in Stockbridge. I mean, there's a lot of history you can take in when you are here, and so if you brush up a little bit before you come, it really gives it much more of an impact. But if you don't worry, you'll still get a lot out of it. Now, my next don't for you is when you're thinking about coming here to Massachusetts, don't forget to book your accommodation early, okay? If you're gonna come in the summer or in the weekends in the spring and fall, they book out way in advance. So make sure you're planning ahead by booking ahead, way ahead, okay? If there's big events, you wanna be here in Boston for St. Patrick's Day, book way ahead, all right? So I wanna get that one out there because that can cause you a little financial strain if you're not booking on time. And I think going along with that is don't worry if you don't find a lot of chain hotels or chain restaurants when you're here to stay at or to eat at, because Massachusetts, I mean, the people have a lot of local pride, and they have local pride in their restaurants and their inns and their bars and their pubs and their ice cream shops and their clam stands. I mean, they love their Massachusetts and they support those businesses. So if you're looking for restaurants, ask where the locals go. It's going to be someplace different than you've heard of. And so take that advice and go. And if you're looking at places to stay, what I recommend is find the town you want to stay in. If there's not a Hilton or Holiday Inn, I mean, that's probably normal. Go into Google, zoom in, and see what inns pop up. what motels pop up, and contact them directly. That's going to get you some of those cool historic spots. Now, my next dome for you is when you're out exploring Massachusetts, and I don't care if you're driving around Boston, which I hope you're not, but if you are, or you're in the Berkshires and you're driving around, or anywhere throughout the state, don't pass up a parking spot. Don't look for the perfect parking spot, because you're not going to find it, because there are no perfect parking spots. Parking in Massachusetts is a little difficult, and it doesn't matter where you are. I mean, look, this state developed before the car, okay? So they weren't really planning out for a good place for a parking deck, okay? So if you see a spot, you're driving through the Berkshires, you're driving around, you're like, oh, this looks like an okay spot, just take it. You're out on the vineyard, yeah, just take that spot. It's fine, you can walk a bit farther, because most likely you're not gonna find anything better. So don't pass up those parking spots. And when you're driving around, I gotta tell you, don't let the massholes get you down. Look, I like the people here in Massachusetts, they can be a good time, but when they start driving around, they do turn into kind of massholes. And they're not upset if you call them that. They know that, look, we get out on the road, we get to be much more offensive drivers and cutting people off, and maybe a finger flies here or there, a pinky or a thumb or something else. But I gotta say is, as much as they can really frustrate you and scare you when you're driving around the state, they're actually quite friendly. And so they might have flicked you off, 2 towns back, but you bump into them in the bar and they're like, hey, what's up? Let's grab a pint. So don't get too freaked out, but do realize you need to have your head on a swivel when you're driving around Massachusetts, whether you're on the highway or the back roads, because people are a bit more offensive when they're driving versus defensive. Now, another thing I think you should know, and sadly know, about when you come to Massachusetts is, don't expect to hear that Boston accent all the time. I mean, you will hear it occasionally in Boston. I mean, I'm not saying it's not there, but it's not like they do it in the movies where every third person has it, especially when you're getting out of Boston and Western Massachusetts. You're not going to have too much of that, okay? I'm sorry, but it's the truth. Now, another thing I think you need to know about the people here is, when you talk about New England, just in general, they talk about this thing called the New England shield. Like, people kind of put a shield up, and they don't want to, it seems like they don't want to meet people, they don't want to get interacting with people. But I have to tell you is, don't let that New England shield stop you from getting to know the locals, because once that shield comes up, they're some of the most friendly, helpful people when you are here. We have friends from around here, and even when we meet their family members, they're kind of like, well, hello, how are you? But then after a few minutes, when they know that we're okay, they're like, oh, hey, did you eat at this restaurant? Because don't, because that place sucks. You need to go here instead. And they really do open up and will help you as a tourist, because I know in some states where you go around, people may be friendly, but they're not helpful. Here, I'm not going to say they're super friendly, but when they open up and that shield comes up, they can be really friendly with giving advice on where to go, because they're so proud of their state. They're going to tell you the best places to go. They're going to say, go here on the Cape or go there in the Berkshires, because they do have that pride. So just don't let that New England shield stop you from getting to know the people here. Though I will say, if you want to get the people against you, don't say bad things or cheer against the Patriots, the Celtics, the Bruins, or especially the Red Sox, okay? Because they love their sports here. They love their Boston sports. They love their Massachusetts sports. And the thing is, I know when people think, oh, well, if I wear Yankee stuff, I'll get beat up. No, it's not that bad. They're not going to beat you up if you're wearing a Yankees hat. Now, I won't say they won't say something about that, but you're not going to cause any problems. And I know for me, I'm a St. Louis Cardinal fan, and the last time I was here, it was sunny, so I was wearing my St. Louis Cardinal hat, and people were like, hey, thanks to the World Series. I'm like, hey, you're welcome. So, they do have a good sense of humor with it, but yeah, they do love their teams here. The thing is, in relation to that New York thing, I honestly think that the people in Massachusetts actually like or dislike Connecticut more than New York. So just something I noticed. So my next stone for you is, don't call a frap a milkshake. So if you're not sure what a frap is, if you're outside of this area, a frap's a milkshake. It's milk and ice cream, and that's like made chocolate syrup stirred up, and you've got yourself a chocolate milkshake. Here, it's called a frap, okay? If you ask for a milkshake here in Massachusetts, you're gonna get like chocolate milk with some syrup in it, stirred up. So have a heads up for that. And honestly, you want a good place to get a frap? When you're driving around and you see these little stands or these little like hut restaurant-y looking things with a bunch of lawn chairs or picnic tables outside, don't not stop there, okay? Don't pass up the roadside clam strip places or ice cream places here in Massachusetts, because the people love them, and that's where you get your frap, or that's where you get your ice cream. But more importantly, that's where you're gonna get your clam strips, my favorite food here in Massachusetts. Oh, it's so good. You gotta get the clam strips, so don't pass up those roadside stands, okay? And I guess I should say is, don't pass up some of the treats that are here. Those Boston baked beans, which you'll see as baked beans on the menu. Get them. They're like the super sweetest with molasses and brown sugar and pork in them. They're just so good. You're gonna have that. Boston cream pie. Yeah, it's not really pie. It's a cake because it's, sponge cake with vanilla cream in the middle with chocolate on the top. Oh, that's so good. Get yourself some lobster rolls, clam chowder. I mean, you will eat, don't worry, you will eat very well when you are here in Massachusetts. But I will say, don't expect to find the hard stuff at your local grocery store. Look, they've got great beer here, and you can get the beer at the grocery store, no problem. But if you want to get something a little harder, to get some whiskey or something, you got to go to the packaged liquor store. That's where you're going to get that, okay? So if you're going to be staying here for a while and spending some time in Martha's Vineyard or in the Vineyard or on the Cape or whatever, and you want to pick stuff up before you go, don't think you're going to get it all at the grocery store. Now, my next don't for you is, don't come to Massachusetts in the winter. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's cold and they get a lot of snow, and it can be pretty brutal when you're here. I mean, fall, spring, summer, fantastic time to come. Plenty of months out of the year for you to enjoy this great state. But in the winter, I mean, we're talking snow over snow over snow with ice, and it can be scary. It can be so much snow that you're like, I don't think we can leave the house, let alone would we want to leave the house. So do have a heads up for that. So if you have to come in the winter, bring plenty of winter clothes, to stay warm. Also, if someone has scooped out a spot for their car, don't take their spot if they've scooped out the snow, okay? And then I think the last fun don't I want to talk about when you come here to Massachusetts is when you're outside of Massachusetts, don't believe everyone that says they're from Boston. Look, people know Boston when you say Massachusetts. I mean, do you actually know the Berkshires? Do you know some of the Worcester and maybe some towns more farther west in Massachusetts? No, maybe not. I know Nantucket, I know Martha's Vineyard and Cape Cod and Boston and Plymouth. Yeah. Here's the thing. If someone says they're from Boston, they're probably not, okay? They're probably from some other place around there, like Swampscott. It's like, look, hey, Katie, you're not from Boston, you're from Swampscott. It's a totally different place, okay? But when you're outside of Massachusetts, very few people know the towns outside of Massachusetts, especially probably how we learned them in school versus how they're actually pronounced here. That'll throw people off. So make sure you just, because they say, oh, Boston, oh, what part of Boston? Like the far west by, North Adams and Adams of the Berkshires? Where from? So I think that's a fun thing to finish off on. But the first thing you don't do is you don't use your Boston accent, look, or however you want to say it, however you want to make fun of a really deep, crazy Boston accent. Look, no one finds it funny, no one's going to appreciate it, no one's going to laugh at you about it, so don't do it, okay? And what's funny is we've been here for a while and we haven't really heard it hardly at all because you've had so many people that have come here and moved here and kind of mixed around that Boston accent, the Boston accent you want to make fun of, you don't really hear from anymore, okay? So that's the first thing. Don't do the accent, okay? Second, don't get tricked into thinking you're going to have a historic meal at the Quincy Market or something like that, or go to the South Market to see old-timey stores. Look, Quincy Market is basically a mall food court. The South Market, North Market, these kind of things, these are your mall shops. So though it looks really historical and historic, it isn't, okay? So don't be fooled by that. Go and explore, find other local restaurants instead of doing those things. Now, you can do the food court, that's fine, but just know you might not want to do that. Oh, they're also, if you want to go to Cheers, the one that's there, don't go to that Cheers. If you want to go to the real Cheers, that was actually a TV show, they do have a fake remade Cheers at Quincy Market, okay? Now, the third don't I have for you is don't worry about jaywalking. Look, the fine for jaywalking is really negligible from what I hear, like $1 or $2, not a big deal. And you're going to see the people here in Boston jaywalk like crazy. I mean, they're like next level jaywalkers here because there's a lot of one-way streets, bendy roads, people are going slow, not sure where they're supposed to be, things like that. And people take that opportunity to jaywalk and cross whenever they can because the lights don't change that often. So if you're a tourist, make sure you're following the locals, but do look because you never know which one's going to be a one-way or a two-way or these kind of things. So do be careful with that, okay? But don't worry too much about the jaywalking. Fourth don't I have for you is don't bring up the Yankees and compare Yankees and Red Sox or Giants and Patriots and the New York versus Boston thing. Look, they're completely different cities. I wouldn't even compare the two because they're just completely different beasts. Like there's historical beasts, so there's the New York beast, there's all these different things. And people here don't really like it when you start to compare it. They sometimes seem to have this complex about it. So best not to even bring up New York and things like that because it's not super appreciated. The fifth don't I have for you is for you students out there. Don't bother applying for Harvard. You're probably not going to get in, okay? But if you're a tourist, well, you can get into some of the buildings there. You can't get into the classes, but just know Harvard and Cambridge, it's a different area when you do come here, but don't expect to get in everywhere, whether it's classes or get accepted. There are some things that are open to public, but sometimes it can be limited. Now, the sixth don't I have for you is don't come in the winter. The winters here are brutal, like cold, windy, lots of snow, like the kind of snow levels that when you dig out your car and put a folding chair there to save your seat, if someone comes and takes your spot, no one cares if you destroy their car and vandalize their car, because, dude, you don't take somebody's spot that they dug out, okay? So winter, not cool. Rest of the year, awesome place to be, okay? Seventh don't I have for you is don't just do the Freedom Trail. That's the Freedom Trail, is that red brick line on there that you go around to see all the historic sites. You don't actually have to walk on top of it. You can walk next to it or on the other side of the street, but don't just do that. There's a lot more to see here. You know, go to, you know, the Back Bay, go to Fenway, go see the, you know, baseball game, and go to the Museum of Fine Arts. There's all kinds of other stuff to do here, not just the Freedom Trail. So don't just do that. And the eighth don't I have for you when you are in Boston is don't eat at places you've heard of before. Go and explore. There's tons of restaurants. Yes, the seafood here, and everyone's going to say they have the best clam chowder. Try them all. It's okay. The seafood's fantastic. Lots of great restaurants. Lots of great bars when you're here. Great beers from all around New England you can buy here and drink here and enjoy. There's so much fun to be had here, so make sure you go out and try those no places, not just your chain places. You can have those at home. Explore and have those kind of old American standards that came from here, because there is a lot of great food and great drink from here in Boston. So we are here on Boston Common, and we've eaten very well on many of our trips here to Massachusetts. Whether we've been here in Boston, having a great time, or out in the Berkshires, you'll eat well when you're here. And so we want to kind of give you the things you should eat when you are here in Massachusetts. And for me, it starts with the clams. And there's two big ways you can have clams that I highly recommend. One is clam chowder, okay? If you've never had clam chowder, it's clams, it's a cream soup put together into heaven on a spoon. Look, wherever you go in Massachusetts, don't worry, clam chowder will pop up. And whether you have a cup to start off or have a bowl for a whole meal, you'll be happy that you have it, okay? So that's the first thing, have that clam chowder. Second thing, if you can have fried clam strips, oh my God. Clam strips, where they bread them and fry them up and they serve them up to you, are just amazing, whether you're at a restaurant. But what I recommend to you, when you're driving around the state and you go and you see this like kind of like house or pseudo restaurant-y looking thing or outdoor shack kind of thing that sells fried clams and ice cream, stop there and get the fried clams. You're welcome. End of story. You have to get that. And when you stop at those things, get the fried clam basket, you know, with the fries and everything, and then go back again for an ice cream or a frap. And if you're not sure what a frap is, if you're outside of Massachusetts and parts of New England, you might call it a milkshake. Okay, so a milkshake here in Massachusetts is like chocolate milk. It's milk and syrup stirred together. If you want the thing that's the milk and syrup and ice cream together, mixed together, that's a frap, okay? So just have a heads up when you are here, but those are also good to get at those little ice cream clam stands like on the outskirts of town. So nice, so worth it. Stop there, you'll be happy. Now, my next couple things I want to talk about for here are famous because, well, Boston's in the name, but they're famous for one of the tasty treats you have to have when you're here. And one, of course, is Boston baked beans. Yes, we've all had baked beans before, but these are almost like, I would almost say like, so sweet, it's like candy heaven in your mouth, because what you have is molasses and brown sugar, some pork in there with the beans, of course, and they are awesome. So you can get them as a side dish, and they'll just be called baked beans when you get on the side dish here in Massachusetts. Get it, you'll be super happy. Another Boston named treat you want to have is Boston cream pie. And if you watch our Don'ts of Massachusetts video on our Wolters World channel, you'll notice that what people say and what it is, or how it's spelled, and then what you actually say, like, these things all get jumbled up here. And I know I say it's called Boston cream pie. Thing is, it's not a pie. What it is sponge cake, vanilla cream, sponge cake, covered in chocolate. Again, amazing. If you're here in Boston or you're throughout the state, grab a piece if you can. Now, some other sweets you might want to have when you're here. Obviously, if you're in north part of Boston, there's a big Italian community and there's really great Italian restaurants. And a lot of people say go to Mike's and have Mike's cannoli. Okay, so it's, you know, the tube pastry filled with ricotta or whatever you want inside. That's kind of famous. But for me, what I recommend if you're here is actually get a whoopie pie, which is, again, it's a whoopie pie, but it's more like a cake sandwich, because it's chocolate cake, then the white cream filling, and then chocolate cake underneath, and you eat that. That was much more, Liam was much more a fan of that than the cannolis, and so am I. So that's another thing to grab when you're here in Massachusetts. Now, right now, Liam is out enjoying a camp here in New England, and we're making lunch for him every day when we're here. And I thought, hey, you know what? There's another traditional thing from Massachusetts that you have to have if you are here. And if you're staying in an Airbnb, or a rental or something, this is one of the things you can do there. It's called a Fluffernutter. Now, if you're not sure what a Fluffernutter is, we've all had peanut butter and jelly sandwich, right? 2 pieces of bread and then peanut butter and jelly in the middle. Well, this is peanut butter with marshmallow fluff between 2 slices of bread. Look, I won't lie to you, when you make this, you probably have to wash your hands like 6 times before and after making it and while you make it, but it is a cavity stickiness delight that you should have when you're here. And what's cool, if you go to the grocery store, you actually see that they'll have the marshmallow fluff right next to the peanut butter to make life a lot easier. Now, another tasty treat you'll have, and this is more in the fall really, are cider donuts. Look, if you didn't know, Johnny Appleseed, he's actually from here in Massachusetts, and he would be very proud that every fall the cider donuts come out. And if you go and you're exploring out and seeing all the leaves changing and the beauty of the state, and you see a place that says, oh, fresh cider donuts, stop, go off, get yourself a dozen, because you'll knock them back no problem. Or grab a couple here, go down the road farther, get a couple more so they're as hot and tasty as possible when you get them. But cider donuts in the fall, definitely a good thing to get. If you're not here in the fall, not really something to grab because it's not in season. Now, another thing that when you ever think of coming to New England in general, in Massachusetts, another thing you want to have, and I'm moving out of the sweets and moving back to the meal time, is lobster. And you can have lobster in so many different ways. Broiled lobster, lobster thermidor, maybe you just want to have lobster bisque, the soup. I mean, lobster is all over the place, but the thing you'll probably see the most are lobster rolls. Again, sometimes on the side of the road you can grab them with the split top hot dog buns put in there, but lobster rolls are also fantastic, well worth having when you're here in Massachusetts. Now, if you're more of a fish connoisseur, well, don't worry, you can have a fish fry or you can have fish and chips when you are here. You know, the fried battered fish when you are here, the flaky goodness of the white fish inside, definitely great. Remember that place I told you about with the fried clams? You can get it there too, and it'll be awesome, or you can go to a pub and get it, but yes. Fish and chips is awesome. Another fish you might have is scrod, and I've only had that up here. I don't have it where I live. And when you can get it, if you can get it stuffed, which is, it's scrod, it's the fish, then it's stuffed inside with more seafood things and maybe a little lobster sauce on top or some kind of sauce on top that just makes you drool. That's a nice one. You don't see it everywhere, but you can get it. It's worth grabbing. Another seafood delicacy when you are here are oysters. You'll see a lot of oyster joints here in Boston, actually, and go grab some oysters, whether it's happy hour or not. They are something to really, really grab when you are here. Now, if you're looking for something a bit cheaper, some cheaper fare, and I know a lot of people like to go and get sandwiches, is one thing I think you should know is you want to get a grinder when you're here. You know, a sub sandwich, they call that a grinder. So there's lots of delis you can grab. If you're driving around, like you're going to the Berkshires or something like that, and you're driving around, you want to grab a sandwich, grab a grinder. It'll be a nice long, on the hoagie roll filling sandwich you'll have. And of course, you can choose your own fillings for that, so don't worry. And you'll see that some of the general stores, they'll actually have them there. So you just drive in, get gas, go in the general store, and they'll have a little deli section. They'll make the sandwich right there for you. And for a cider to your grinder lunch, Cape Cod potato chips are a must here in Massachusetts. They are super crispy. I mean, for me, I like the salt and vinegar ones, but they have 4,000 different flavors. So at least try the original because that's what the locals like. Now, if you're searching for some breakfast fare, I guess I should really tell you that Dunkin Donuts or Dunkin is really a big thing here in Massachusetts. And the thing is, there's cafes all over the place. There's places you can grab coffee and do whatever. But Dunkin is like a religion here. Like, people love it. See, the because I said Dunkin', they had to ring for it, right? But when we were there, you grab some munchkins, the little balls or donuts, you can have that. But just know that if you don't have anywhere to grab breakfast when you're here in Massachusetts, don't worry, there's a Dunkin' around the corner. And it could be in a historic building or a brand new, mini mall kind of thing, but you can have that. Another breakfast thing, if you can get, is blueberries are really big here in Massachusetts. And what I would say is you can get blueberry anything, but blueberry muffins are really good. And I've actually seen where they'll cut it down the middle and then they'll just throw it on the griddle for a little bit and then serve it to you. Griddled blueberry cupcakes, awesome. And the thing is when you're here, there's also a lot of drinks you can have. I think seltzer is a big thing. You have all the different flavored seltzers when you're up here. For non-alcoholic drinks, the beers up here, all throughout New England, they've got really great beers. Massachusetts is no different. And then finally, for our coffee drinkers out there, if you are someone that feels that a regular coffee should have cream and sugar, well, don't worry. If you order a regular coffee here in Massachusetts, it's with cream and sugar. If you want a black coffee, just plain, you got to ask for black coffee, all right? So I think the most important one that you should know as a traveler when you're going through New England is, honestly, don't insult their sports teams, okay? Whether you're talking about the Bruins, the Celtics, the Sox, I mean, they love their New England sports here, and especially those major league teams, but also those minor league teams. So don't be bad-mouthing the Vermont Lake Monsters in Burlington, or if you're here in Portland, the Sea Dogs. Look, they love their local teams. They love supporting their local teams, and you'll see the flags fly, whether it's a Patriots flag here or a Sea Dogs jersey. You'll be surprised how much they love their local team. So if you diss them and be like, yeah, you know what, the Dodgers are better, the Pats, their dynasty's over. Look. That is not going to go over well here in New England, okay? They love their local sports teams, so show the respect to them. Otherwise, the locals might not take too kindly to your visit to their beautiful neck of the woods. And speaking of their beautiful neck of the woods, the next thing I got to tell you that might upset them is if you claim a non-New England state, or maybe a fringe New England state, is actually part of New England. Like when you're in New England, you're like, yeah, Maine and Vermont, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Massachusetts. Yeah, these are really New England states and really New England feels. And if you try to include like, oh, well, part of New York should be, shut up. No, New York has nothing to do with New England aside from sending up a lot of tourist dollars up this way, which they thank you for, but they're not very nice about it sometimes when it comes to New Yorkers. But honestly, like, New England is its own thing, its own kind of region, okay? And it's very much got its own mindset, its own kind of people, food, culture. So it's one of those things they don't like to share. So don't be thinking that things that aren't part of New England are part of New England. Because you know what? Even Rhode Island deserves the New England love, people, okay? Now, the next thing that's going to upset some of the locals when you come here, and this is more if you're going to be in Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, if you're going to the Berkshires of Massachusetts, that is, if you don't know the driving etiquette during leaf peeping season, because this is leaf peeping season, you know what, when the leaves change and people come from all over to see the beautiful colors of the fall in New England, it is gorgeous. Stay in those bed and breakfasts and eat at the little shops, it's just wonderful. But if you don't know how to drive it, you're going to piss off the locals because you may be enjoying those beautiful views, but they got to get to work, okay? So if you think about it, don't stop in the middle of the road to take your picture. Don't slow down to 5 miles an hour to see that view. Pull over to the side and get your picture. Go to one of the turnoffs. Or what we like to do, and I've recommended this in a lot of videos, if you're going to come leaf peeping, bring your friend that's not like super into leaf peeping. Let them do the driving while you can do the gawking outside, because it's gorgeous at that time. Now, going back to their New England pride, another thing that might set them off a little bit is if you claim another part of the U.S. is better than New England. You say, oh, well, the friendliness of the South and the food of the South, or the outdoorsiness of the Mountain West. You can say whatever you want. They'll be like, whatever. We've got history. We've got mountains. We've got beaches. We've got beauty. We got cities. We got small towns. We got anything you want. We don't need anything else in New England because we have it all. And they might be a bit protective of that and might want to be shooing you away if you want to talk about something else being better than New England to go as a tourist. I mean, honestly, Maine is known as vacation land for a reason. Now, another thing that might annoy them is if you go for the hardcore Boston accent, the Boston accent, pocket car, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. Look, one, that accent is not as strong as it used to be, okay? So it's not really, Good Will Hunting was, 20, 30 years ago now. Those kind of things aren't as big. Yes, you'll still hear the accents occasionally, but the accent isn't as strong as it used to be. And so if you kind of try to have fun with the accent, just know it'll probably won't ring as true or won't be as funny once you're here and you see it. Now, another thing I think is important for tourists to know when you come here, and I don't know, it might not be something that will upset the locals, but it's something you should know that might seem like the locals are upset with you. That's the New England shield. And this is one of those things that New Englanders look out for themselves. They look out for other New Englanders. They kind of keep to themselves a bit. And to help with that, they have kind of like a shield they put up that makes it seem like they don't care about the other people that are here. They're not doing much, just like leave me alone. And one of the things I gotta say is like, that shield is something you'll see as a tourist when you're here. But if you get to know them, okay, you get to be friends with them, you go out and have dinner with them or whatever, you start to see, it's like, wait a minute, they're actually really good people. They're gonna help you out. They're gonna tell you the best places to eat and fish and go do things and hiking and where the best bike trails are. But it takes time to get through that shield. And a lot of people take that shield as, oh, everybody in New England's a jerk. And they're not. They really aren't, okay? But that shield sometimes makes it seem that way, okay? But I will say one thing. There is one kind of jerky thing you need to know about when you are in New England, and all the other New Englanders actually hate them too, and that is being a masshole. Now, if you're not sure what a masshole is, that is a Massachusetts driver that drives like a masshole, okay? And you'll see that whether you're in Maine or Vermont, New Hampshire, people are like, oh, massholes. It's just basically, if you're a cruddy driver and you're, making it bad for everybody else on the road, that's not going to go over well.
Now, another more serious way that you might upset the people, and something you shouldn't do anyway because you're a good traveler, but it is one thing, unfortunately, I've seen a lot of non-New England plates doing when they're here is don't be littering, don't be dirtying, don't be defiling and disrespecting the nature of New England. Because think about it, if you're in Vermont, the Green Mountain State, and you go to New Hampshire, the Granite State, you're here in Maine, vacation land, Massachusetts with its history and just the history all over. You have so much that we can enjoy and people can enjoy when you're here. And when people are just like, oh, I'm at the Old Orchard Beach, whatever, I'm gonna throw my stuff on the side. Like, no, keep that nature beautiful, because that's what people love about coming here. The beaches, the mountains, the back roads of it. Please don't do that, because honestly, if you're not cleaning up after yourself, whether it's a campground or when you're going around, the locals won't like that very much.
It is gorgeous up here because you have so many beautiful, cute towns like here in Mystic, Connecticut, or just going up the coast of Maine and seeing those things there, and the landscapes and the nature that's here, whether you're in the mountains of Vermont, oh my God, it's so gorgeous there, or the coastlines. There's just so much beauty and wonderful things to do here. Great little villages and towns to stay out, cute little motels, cool cities like Boston, but I'm not going to go on that. What I want to focus on today are the don'ts for when you do come up here, okay? Because you should come up here. It's really cool. And my first don't for you is, don't be surprised by the New England shield. It's kind of like this shield they put up, the people put up here to kind of like, oh, you're from New York, or you're from Illinois, you're from California, whatever kind of feel you have. Don't let that put you off, because the thing is the people actually are really nice. They will help you. They'll tell you where the best places to eat are. They'll tell you, hey, you should check this village out, or check this town out, or go here, go there. The people are really cool when you're up here, but they're not going to necessarily bring you into their home, okay? This is one of those places that they're really helpful, but they're really helpful when you're out there, okay? Now, if you actually, crack through that hard shell, that New England shield, they're even so much more welcoming to you, so it is great, but just have a heads up that New England shield is a real thing, but don't worry about it, because the people will help you. Now, my next don't for you is probably going to be the one that drives you the most crazy when you're up here, and that is, don't go crazy when you drive I-95. Look, if you're not from the U.S., I-95 is a highway that goes up and down the coast, the east coast of the U.S., and it is insane driving. But when you get from New York into New England, it gets even more crazy for some reason, and it really can drive people crazy. So don't go nuts when you're on I-95. Have patience when you're there, because it can be quite frustrating. And don't think that by taking the back roads it's going to be easier, because all the locals are trying to take those too. So congestion and traffic is just one of the things you have to deal with. And another thing you have to deal with when it comes to traffic are the massholes. Look, don't let the massholes get to you. Massholes is what they basically call like the really aggressive kind of drivers kind of stuff, which you'll see on I-95 weaving through and stuff like that. Don't let them get to you. Have your patience and realize that person that's getting frustrated with you, they're dealing with so many tourists coming through here that you can kind of understand stuff, but realize that they'll be good people when they actually help you out later on, okay? Another don't I have for you is, when you're going to be coming up here, don't stay at the chain hotels. I mean, there's plenty of chain hotels. If you want to do that, it's not a problem. But stay at a B&B or a motel or some cottages. That's the really true, authentic experience when you come up here. I remember a few years ago, we were up in Maine, in Belfast, Maine, and we stayed at this set of cottages out there, and they had a bonfire you could make, and it was right on the water, and it's just gorgeous. We stayed at bed and breakfasts in different places. We're out in nature. It's really a great thing. So don't think you have to stay at a hotel. Go and search a bit more for those B&Bs. And the thing is, they don't all show up on TripAdvisor or Booking, so sometimes you do a little bit more research. Contact the tourism board of the place you're going to go. They'll have some recommendations too, and that can really help you out. And when you are booking those places, don't forget to book early if you're going to come for leaf peeping season. When the foliage change and the tourists mad rush up here, it is gorgeous. Jocelyn came up here last year for it and just loved it. But you make sure you book ahead, especially for those really cute cottages and stuff. Otherwise, you probably will be staying in a hotel. So do book early for those. And the high seasons in July and August, you definitely want to book early, okay? Now, when you are driving around, you might notice our next don't. And that is, don't expect the cell service to be great everywhere in New England. Look, New England, if you're just driving I-95, you think, man, it's got people the entire way up. It's all New England is full of people. Actually, if you go to a place like Vermont, it's one of the two smallest populated states. I mean, there's more people in DC than there's in the whole state of Vermont, and it's gorgeous. But since with such low population density, sometimes there's not as many cell towers, so a signal can be a bit tough to come by if you're going like in the mountains and stuff like that. So just have a heads up when you are doing those things. So if you're using your GPS on your phone, download the offline map so you have that as well. But you should be okay. But that's one thing I have noticed is that signal does drop a lot. And when we were up in New Hampshire and northern Vermont, it was like hit and miss. And sometimes we get the Canadian service, so then AT&T's like, oh, you are in an international roaming zone. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. We are really close to the border. So just have a heads up for that one. Speaking of Vermont, this one I have to tell you, don't drink anything up here except for New England beer. They have awesome beer up here. And for me, the two best states with local beer, Vermont is number 1 and Connecticut is number 2. I mean, there's good ones in the other places, but those are the ones I've loved the most. And so when you're going to pick up your beer, pick up the local stuff. Sadly, the Vermont beer, for some reason, they don't export as much as I wish they would. So you're only going to see that sometimes. But if you get into Vermont, man, just stock up, okay? It is awesome. And I guess another don't I should tell you about the liquor here is don't expect to be able to buy alcohol at normal stores. Look, if you're in New Hampshire or Vermont, Maine, stuff like that, there's actually state-run liquor stores that you have to go to buy your liquor. So that can be a little strange. You're like, hey, I want to go pick something up. And you go in the store and you're like, hey, where's the alcohol? Oh, no, you have to go to a liquor store for that. I'm like, oh, really? Yeah. So there might be other stores for that. Also, don't expect to easily find alcohol on Sundays because some places they close early selling liquor on Sundays, or sometimes it might not be open on Sundays. So just have a heads up for that. But another don't is don't worry about not getting the beer because if you go to the local restaurants, they always carry local beer there, so you'll be totally happy. Okay, so drink up and enjoy. But don't drink and drive, obviously, but do enjoy it when you are here because it is awesome. And some other don'ts I should say, like the fun with the food and drink mix is don't forget to eat the local specialties. Yes, you are going to have lobster throughout on the coast, and the lobster rolls in Maine are fantastic. So don't be afraid to pull off the side of the road when you see a lobster roll stand. Just pull off, grab one, have it, enjoy it, love it, be it, and then hop back in and take off. I mean, we've stopped at them because someone had little playgrounds for the kids. The kids would play. Joss and I have a lobster roll, chat for a bit, and then we'd be back on our way. That's great. The New England clam chowder, oh my God, it is so good. And yes, just like anywhere in the world, when you go to the place where the name is, it's always better. It is amazing here. The oysters that are here, I mean, it's just such great seafood when you are here. Don't skip out on that. But also, don't skip out on the fun little things like whoopie pies, which is it's like a chocolate cake sandwich with cream in the middle. That was so good. The boys and I really enjoyed that. There's Necco wafers. You can have things like that. Yes, of course, the Boston baked beans and the Boston cream pies that are out there. It's, oh my God, there's so many good local things you can have. And, they have their little silly, local treats like you can make at home. I mean, you can have a Fluffernutter at home, which is just, instead of peanut butter and jelly, it's peanut butter and marshmallow fluff. You can have those things. There's all these cute little things that are here. So make sure when you're going to those restaurants or those B&Bs and stuff like that, ask, hey, is it clams? Should I get mussels or steamers or what should I get when I come here? They will let you know, and they will tell you the best place to have those. But don't skip out on the local beer and the local food. I mean, obviously, but here, especially that way. Another don't I have is it's going to be easier for you to do that because don't expect to see a lot of chain restaurants. I've found in New England you don't have as many of the fast food joints and you don't have as many of the big chains, fast casual places. You have a lot more local mom and pop places, which is really cool, or New England chains. So do check out those and enjoy those things. And when you're drinking here, if you don't want alcohol, don't be surprised if you see more flavors of seltzer water, like bubble water, than you see soda. It's crazy. They love that stuff up here. Now one don't though I have for you that's not so happy is don't expect to hear that hardcore Boston accent too often. Look, New England, it's a big region and people don't sound like that. We're from Boston and blah blah blah. You don't actually hear that too often, which is funny because I didn't hear it at all at Boston until I got on the Amtrak train to come back to Mystic. So don't be sad if you don't hear it. You might hear it, but don't really be surprised if you don't hear it, okay? Oh, another don't with Boston around there is, if you didn't know that, Dunkin Donuts is actually from New England, and they love Dunkin Donuts, okay? And I'm going to tell you right now, you might not like Dunkin Donuts, but as a traveler, as a tourist, it might be your best friend for breakfast when you are up here because it's everywhere, okay? And so that's going to be your coffee, donut, snack place for the mornings. Just a heads up for that one. Another don't I have for you is when you are talking to the locals, what you need to know is don't bother talking about any other sports or any other teams except for the ones from New England or maybe New York. I mean, and you'll see everywhere you go where they sell baseball caps or jerseys or shirts, it's the Red Sox. Everywhere. The Patriots everywhere, and the Yankees everywhere, okay? So you will see that, and they only like talking about their sports, so just have a heads up for that. Which is funny because I say about the Yankees, and you'll see people with their Yankees hats and flags and stuff like that. What I want to say about New York is, don't think that New York is New England. It's not. New England is a different part of the country. New York is a state that is separate from New England. New England is Connecticut, Rhode Island, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, okay? It's not New York, all right? So just a heads up. Though you will see all those all the Yankee caps, you'll see the New York, license plates coming up here, especially during leaf peeping time, but don't think that New York is New England, okay? Another don't I have for you is, don't be surprised if you don't understand the slang here, because it might not be the accent, it might just be the wording they use. You're like, what did he say there? Just ask the locals, they'll tell you what it means and they'll get a kick out of it. And probably one that'll get you when you have the little ones around with you. A milkshake here in New England is milk with a syrup in it stirred up, like your chocolate milk kind of thing. So have a heads up for that one. One of my last don'ts I have for you is, if you're going to be coming here in the winter, don't complain about the cold and the snow. I mean, there's a reason why White Christmas was based in Vermont, because Christmas time, there's going to be snow, snow, snow. It snows up here. And when it snows a lot. Deal with it. The locals do, and so should you, okay? It's just the way it is. And it can be pretty cool when it does come down that much, like, wow, I've never seen meters of snow before. Yes, it can happen, okay? So don't complain about it. And the last don't I have for you, and this is one that's near and dear to my heart, is don't forget the whale. If you're not sure who the Hartford Whalers are, it's an old hockey team that's now left Connecticut. It's now called something else we won't talk about. But I know for me, the whale is still right here, and whenever I play NHL 94 on Sega back in the day, and I still play today with my buddies, I always play with the whales. So I do have another don't for you. When you are eating your lobster, when you are here, don't be too proud to wear the bib, because believe me, it will save your shirts, your pants, and a lot of trouble. And also, sometimes they have these little things down here, so if you lose a little piece, you can grab it out and enjoy it. So, just a little lobster don't for you. Bye from Abbott's.
Okay.
Oh yeah?
If you have a kid, you should do the pincher trick.
Yeah, don't forget, if you've got kids, they like the little pincher thing. So, thanks Liam, appreciate it. The first thing you're not going to like about coming to Boston is kind of the fake replica, rip-off kind of things that happen here. Probably the biggest thing you're going to notice is when you go to places like Quincy Market and Faneuil Hall and things like that. You go there and you're like, oh man, look at this historic building. It's going to be great. I'm going to go inside, have historic food or other things like that. And you walk into like Quincy Market and you're like, oh, I'm walking into a food court from my local mall. Oh, and look, there's a replica bar of Cheers there. Oh, okay, and oh, the Boston Tea Party. I can go on the boats, which are replicas, and there's some kind of this replica kind of thing that gets a little bit overplayed. The best clam chowder in Boston and things like that, and that does get a bit frustrating when you are here. So that's why I kind of have the first thing is, the second thing you're not going to like when you come here is, look, if you come in the winter, I'm not going to lie to you, the winter weather is horrible. The rest of the year, man, fall is fantastic, summer's nice, spring's beautiful, all this stuff, but when you come in winter, it's cold, it's windy, and when it snows, it doesn't snow a little bit, it snows a lot bit, okay? And when you're trying to get around town and all this stuff like that, it is just bitterly cold. So try to avoid coming here, December, January, February, early March, these kind of things, because the winter weather is horrible. Now, the third thing you're not going to like about when you come here is driving and parking. Look, this is a historic city. It's been around for hundreds of years. They did not put in a grid system, 400 years ago. So you have all these windy roads and one-way roads this way and that way and this way and that way. And it is super confusing if you're not from here. And even if you have GPS, knowing which way to go can be really tough. So you get stuck in traffic and all kinds of stuff. And it's really frustrating. And trying to find parking, I don't even say anything about affordable parking, that doesn't exist. Trying to find parking also is real pain. So that's the third thing you're not going to like. So what I'd say is, if you're going to stay out, take the T in. The T is the local subway and stuff like that, or the buses in. You'll be fine, okay? But just know the driving and parking is really crazy. And that leads us into the fourth thing you're not going to like when you're here is that the jaywalking in this town, I mean, seriously, Bostonians take jaywalking to the next level. I mean, they jaywalk all the time. Now, they don't walk into traffic, and it's not like when you're in Naples in Italy where you weave through the traffic as it goes. But people here, they go, oh, I got a spot, they're just gonna go. Because you have all these one-way streets and people not knowing which way they're gonna go and stuff like that. So you do see a lot of people jaywalking. So pay attention to the locals. But if you're not sure, don't just like walk out, because remember, you don't know if this is a one-way street or two ways going this way, or there's a herd of people on the Freedom Trail that are gonna run you over going that way. But just know is that the jaywalkers, from when you're driving or when you're there, it's a bit messed up when you are here with that. And the fifth hate you might have when you're here, remember I'm kind of a homer, so it's hard for me to find the hates, is look, there is a lot of cobblestone. This is a historic city from the American Revolution, and you have all these great old architecture and stuff like that, and they do have some cobblestones around and things like that. And since you're going to be walking around a lot when you're here, one, your feet are going to hurt, and with those cobblestones, if you got bad ankles and things like that, you do need to be careful. I have seen a few tourists walking around going, you know, with a little limp because they twisted their ankles and stuff like that. A guy over I just bumped into, he had flip-flops, so I was like, I think I broke my toe. I'm like, yeah, dude, that's why you don't wear flip-flops when you're here, okay? So those are 5 like little things you might not like when you're here, but what are you gonna love when you're here? Well, let's be honest. Boston is kind of the cradle of US history. I mean, this place is amazing. That first thing you're gonna love is the historic aspect of Boston. Walking the Freedom Trail, it's cool. There's this red brick line, like 2 bricks next to each other, that goes all through the historic center and goes to like 16 different spots along the way. You can see Paul Revere's house. You can see, you know, the churches behind me. There's all over famous graveyards where you can see famous people. Oh, Sam Adams, he's buried right over there. And you have all these famous spots. Oh, you know, where Paul Revere told the guy, hey, you know, put the lamps in the church and the bell tower, 1 if by land, 2 if by sea. That's here. And you have all this history, and it really is, you're like going on an 8th grade history trip, you know, and it's really cool. And that's what I love about this. You have a really great historical city, and they've done a great job of promoting that. You can get tours and guides. You get the people dressed up in period pieces. You know, people look like me. They look like Benjamin Franklin. You know, no hair here and long on the sides. Yes, there's people doing those things, and it is so cool to get that kind of historic, you know, feel with this city because there's so much to it. Now, the second thing you're gonna love, remember I talked about how you're gonna do all that walking? What's cool is the historic center, like the Revolutionary War part and things like that, and the trail, it's all really compact. You can easily navigate Boston on foot to go see the major sites. I just walked from the South Station, did the whole trail, went up to Bunker Hill, all these things. No big deal. Yes, there's some hills and some cobblestones that kind of suck, but actually it's really navigable. You can get around the town really easy. And you want to get farther afield, you can take the T or the buses and get all around really easy. Driving, no, but getting around is so cool. And that's what's nice about it. There's a nice infrastructure that is here for tourists, and I do enjoy that. But that easy navigable center, easy to walk around stuff really makes a big difference. Now, the third thing you're gonna love about this place is, I know I've talked about all this history and stuff, but the third thing you're gonna love is all the non-history stuff you can do when you're here. Oh, you're tired of reliving 8th grade because you got bullied a lot? Well, we can do other things when we're here. Yes, there's aquariums and there's zoos and there's all kinds of things you can do outside, and you can go see the USS Constitution and all this stuff, but also there's sports, there's activities, there's museums. Man, if you can go to Fenway, you know, Fenway and Wrigley, man, if you're gonna go see baseball in America, those are 2 places you go. Fenway here in Boston, Wrigley in Chicago. It is an experience. The Bleacher Bar, look, you don't have to get a ticket. If you're there when there's a game day, you know, go get a beer at the Bleacher Bar, go take a whiz, and you can watch the game from the whiz. I mean, go to the bathroom. That is so cool. But get to a Red Sox game, that's cool. If the Red Sox aren't playing, they love their sports here. See the Bruins in hockey or the Celtics in basketball. If you get tickets to go to Gillette Stadium and go see, you know, the New England Patriots playing, because really, I mean, you know, lots of people say the Trinity is, you know, God the Father, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. Well, here it's the 3 Bs. It's Brady, Belichick, and Bird. Those are the 3 like trinity of kind of sports here in Boston. And so there is a lot of that, you know, a lot of that sports stuff, but the architecture here too. When you walk around town and you do the historic stuff, that's cool. But there's all kinds of new modern architecture and relatively new architecture to see here, and it's such a great feeling walking on the waterfront in Boston Harbor. Yes, you see the Boston Tea Party Museum, but also you look and see the views. It's really beautiful here with the architecture and the art. You can go, I mean, the Museum of Fine Arts, or, you know, the Garden Museum, there's that. I mean, there's all kinds of really cool museums around town to take it in, because this city has a lot of history, had a lot of money, and so there's a lot of really good museums to enjoy. So it's not just history, there's also art, architecture, and sports to enjoy when you're here. Now, the fourth thing that I've really liked about coming to Boston is it is pretty safe. I mean, for a big U.S. city, this is probably one of the safest big U.S. cities around. We've been walking around, enjoying the sights. I've never worried about my wallet. I've never worried about anything where I've gone. Yes, there's some bad parts of Boston, okay? I'm not going to say it's safe everywhere, but for tourists, this easy walking around places you're going to, it does feel safe, and it is safe, except for like breaking your ankles on cobblestones. It is a really safe city, which is really great. So you can take the T to go see places, and you're not worried, oh, do I need to pretend like I don't exist so they don't see me when I'm on the T and stuff like that, you know? And it's really cool taking the green line, you know, and like, whoa, whoa, whoa. That's one of my favorite memories. The first time I came here is like getting whiplash on the green line. I mean, there's all kinds of really cool stuff here, but it's safe. And the thing is, they have this great infrastructure here, and it really makes it a nice thing to do. So that's why I really recommend coming here. Now, the fifth thing you're going to love when you come here is, you know, I always like to talk about the food, but actually Boston does have a really good history, and New England has a really good history of great food. And yes, you will have the seafood when you're here. Go try one of the oyster bars around town, eat there. You know, the Parker House rolls are from here. There's the Omni Parker House Hotel. You could stay there and get the rolls. And, you know, there's all kinds of great food here. Yes, you know, the clam chowder, everyone claims they have the best clam chowder in Boston. Look, wherever you are, at least have it, try it. There's bakeries all around town. The North End with all the Italian families and history there. Yes, you can go to Mike's pastry shop there, and you know, and go have your cannoli there, which I did. It's super touristy, but it's really good. Where that gets tasty. It's tourist tasty. There's lots of places there that have that, and you can go around to different neighborhoods and have different kinds of food, and it is really good. And yes, you can have a Boston cream pie, and yes, you can drink, you know, Sam Adams beer, which is from around here, but there's a lot of local produced beers in New England you can enjoy here. Tons of bars. Yes, there is the Cheers bar you could go to, which is fine. No, don't get me wrong. I mean, hey, you want to do that, it's got beer. But there are a lot of really cool places you can go out to and enjoy and explore out there. And that's what's really cool, is you can really explore and enjoy these things. And then I guess I'll throw in a sixth love. Is one thing is Boston is one of those places where you can bring your kids, because they do have an aquarium. They do have a really nice children's museum here, and you'll see like your kids will like it because there's a big bottle of milk outside, you know, it's kind of statue which actually sells snacks and stuff like that. The historic side of it, the aquarium, like I said, the museums that are here, Boston Commons here, you can let them run around and enjoy things. I mean, it's a park where you can actually go on the grass. It is really a family-friendly place, and that's why I can see why a lot of people want to move here and live in Boston. Oh, I'd love to live on Beacon Hill, but there's no way I would ever make enough money. But there is really this kind of cool vibe for the city. And I think one of the big things you need to realize, this place gets packed in the summer, especially on weekends. And so my first note for you is, don't forget to make reservations as soon as you possibly can, because I know when we were looking to book here, I mean, I was booking 2.5 months out. We could not get anything for Thursday or Friday nights. We only got one Saturday night while we're here. Other times we actually had to stay in Albany and drive over, okay? So don't forget to book early, especially in the summer, to make sure you have a spot. Also, another thing is, don't forget about the 1 o'clock crunch. If you're going to Stockbridge or other places, you'll see there'll be a rush of people on the weekends to have lunch. It's about 1 o'clock, 12:30, it gets hard to find a place to go. So either eat early for lunch or make a reservation so you have a spot so you can eat at some of the cute places that are here to eat, okay? So let's go see more of the Berkshires, and I'll give you some more don'ts. Okay, my next don't for you when you're here in the Berkshires is really don't expect to have super strong cell service all the time. If you're in towns like Stockbridge, you'll have connections, not a problem. But when you're driving around, because of the terrain and everything, sometimes the signals aren't super strong. So maybe download the maps onto your phone if you're going to be driving around. Another don't I have for you is, don't get too upset with all the traffic that's out here, because you have all these 2-lane roads that people are driving around, and there's a lot of traffic. There's all these beautiful towns to see, and you're walking everywhere to see the beautiful buildings, the beautiful scenery, and people get a little frustrated with all the traffic. Look, don't forget your patience when you're driving here, and don't get super upset, because it's not going to get you where any faster. And then my last don't from here in Stockbridge is, don't think that Norman Rockwell's studio that you go visit at his museum, don't think that's where it originally was. It was actually here in town. They actually moved it out there in the 80s for that really great view. So when you go there, you think, wow, he must have been inspired by this view. Well, he was, but he actually rode his bike out there. His studio was here in town. They moved it out there later, okay? So now let's go see some more of the Berkshires. Now we're here in Pittsfield, and my next don't for you is, don't pass up a chance to park. If you go into one of the small towns, or you're here in Pittsfield or wherever you go, if you see a parking spot, get it when you can, because you'll be surprised how hard it is to find a parking spot sometimes in some of these towns around here. Now, my next don't for you is don't call it the Shire. It's not Shire. We're not in, Lord of the Rings. It's Berkshire, not Berkshire. Okay, so I just want to get that one out there. And another don't is don't forget to try to find those B&Bs and inns to stay at. Now, I told you this place gets booked up really quickly, so you should know there's not a lot of chain hotels here. There are some, but it's mostly B&B and inns. So make sure when you're booking early, you're looking for those private inns, you're looking for those B&Bs to really enjoy the area here because it is gorgeous. So now we're in North Adams, and no, that's not a church behind me. Well, yes, that's a church behind me, and that's a church behind me, but that isn't a church. That's actually the Berkshire Art Museum. And what I want to say for that is, don't forget about all the little museums that are throughout the Berkshires you can go into. A lot of these little towns, these villages actually have a little museum you can go and check out. This one's more contemporary arty, but if you go to the Berkshire Museum in Pittsfield, you can check that out. But there are these nice little things you can hop in for a bit, take in a little bit of, oh, that's kind of cool, and then hop on your way. So for when the rain comes, you have something to do in case you don't want to get a little wet while you enjoy the beautiful towns around here. Now, my next don't is from here in Williamstown, the home of William College, and my next don't for you is don't get in a hurry to do anything, because with all the traffic and all the people here, you're not going to be doing things quickly. But don't think that means it's going to be calm when you're visiting, because it will be busy, busy, busy pretty much whenever you're coming during tourist season, whether it's leaf peeping time or it's, just enjoying the summer or enjoying the winter here. Just know that don't be in a hurry. When they say Google says it's going to take so long to get there, give yourselves a little extra time, okay? That's one thing I really want to let you know. And another don't I have for you is when you are driving, don't be surprised if they drop a lane on you. And you'll see it sometimes, it says drop a lane. Like, what? Just means merge, okay? So randomly there will be roads that just kind of go from 2 lanes to 1 lane. So just be ready for that, because it can be a bit of shock when you are driving. And it can complicate things when you're using GPS. So just make sure you're kind of checking out the route before you're going somewhere, before you just blindly trust GPS because of the drop lanes and the roundabouts and all these things. I mean, it can be a little unnerving. I just wanted to get you ready for that, okay? So when you are here in Western Massachusetts, I do want to say is, I know a lot of people think that leaf peeping is just like a Maine thing, like going to Maine and see the leaves change. I will say this, don't pass up Western Massachusetts for when the leaves change, because it is gorgeous here with all the towns you can visit and all the hillsides and the mountains and everything. And it really is a gorgeous place to be. So don't skip out on that. Also, don't just go town to town to town. Make sure you remember these hills, these mountains are here for a reason. They're there. You can go skiing, you can go hiking, trail walking. I mean, it's just a really wonderful place to be, and it's super relaxing. I was actually having a talk with a guy here at the hotel, and he's like, hey, this is a really great place just to relax and meditate and just chill out. And you can have those moments when you find the right place. That's why it's really important to find the right inn or motel or bed and breakfast or wherever you can kind of chillax and just relax, so you can explore during the day and find time for yourself, because this really is a beautiful place in the country to visit. So if you are coming to Massachusetts, I highly recommend coming to the western part of the state. Berkshires are just it's just gorgeous here. I mean, we had such a nice time. It was a little stressful with the driving and finding the parking, but once we were in the towns and we were in the villages and we were just walking around and doing the hikes and stuff, it was just really, really nice. And I know Jocelyn said this would be a great place for us to go, just the 2 of us. And yeah, I guess that would be another one, is don't forget that you can do some really romantic weekends up here as well. So do think of that sometime when you're like, you know what, maybe Grandma and Grandpa should borrow the kids for a while. So there's another don't I have to add in here as I'm enjoying my day, is if you ever see one of these little ice cream stands on the side of the road, and you'll see a bunch of them when you're going through the Berkshires, don't forget to stop and grab yourself soft serve or hard serve or a sundae or any ice cream that comes here, because it's always a fun thing to do. And you got the outdoor seating to chill out in and see the great views here. But honestly, pick something up. If you're lucky, some will have the clam strip baskets as well, and you can have dinner here as well, and just enjoy it, be outside and have some fun. But don't forget to do that. I forgot to mention that one. First tip, do the Freedom Trail. Look, there's literally red bricks in the sidewalk that you follow that goes around the historic part of town. You go see the churches, you go see the historic cemeteries, Paul Revere's house, all kinds of cool places, and it's really easy to follow, so make sure you do that. But when you do that, my advice is get a guidebook. I mean, you can take a tour, and there's guided tours all the time for it as well, but get a guidebook if you're not going to do that, so you can really learn about the history, because maybe 8th grade history class is kind of far in the back for you, so you might not know things. So get a guidebook and follow that Freedom Trail. Really cool, okay? Second tip I have for you is bring good walking shoes. Walking that Freedom Trail, it's multiple miles long. You will be walking for hours seeing all the stuff around here. It is really compact, which is cool, but you're gonna be walking a lot, and there's cobblestones and uneven pavement and things like that. Hey guys. And make sure you are paying attention to that, because you can hurt your ankles and stuff like that, so bring good walking shoes, all right? Now, third tip I have for you is don't go to the chain places. Look, Boston is full of great food, and they've made a lot of great food here, from the Parker House rolls. Not clam chowder isn't from here, but there's all kinds of great local food here. Yes, you can have your Boston cream pies and things like that, but there's really great seafood. There's really great restaurants here. Make sure you get out of your normal things. Don't go eat at Quincy Market, because there's a lot of mall food court things there. Make sure you go out and explore and find the oyster houses and the bars and stuff like that, because it is really great food and drink in this city. So go out and explore. Use your TripAdvisors and your Yelps to look up for local restaurants with good reviews. You'll be very happy you did. The next tip I have for you is get out of the historic part. I know I've been talking about this Freedom Trail and stuff like that, but make sure you get out. Yeah, yes, the north end is part of the historic part is attached to that, but go to Fenway, go to the Back Bay, go explore the city, because you can see great museums like the Museum of Fine Art and things like that around town. The ICA, you can go see that, the Institute of Contemporary Art. There's all kinds of cool things that aren't in that center, so make sure you explore out. And you can use the T, that's the local subway here, or the buses, because this is a safe place, so that is kind of a cool thing out there. And the fifth tip I have for you is, look, I'm here in the fall enjoying this beautiful weather. However, you will not see me here in winter. Look, Boston is really cold, lots of snow, not the best place to be in winter. So if you're gonna think about coming here, I suggest the fall and spring. Summer is great as well too, because you can get out and see the sports and all kinds of stuff. But just know that winter, not the best time to come. First thing you need to have when you come to New England is
lobster and all its wonderful derivations.
Yes, so you're having the boiled lobster, you're having, let's see.
Lobster bisque.
Oh, lobster bisque is fantastic. And if you're driving on the road, you might see a stand for lobster rolls.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is just lobster and a little, how would you describe it? It's
lobster hoagie-ish.
Yeah, lobster sandwiches.
It's just a lobster. It's a lobster sandwich, but it's delicious, right?
Yeah. So the big thing is that with these lobster rolls, they do vary a little bit where you go, but the thing is you got good bread, a lot of times we buttered, and then they got the lobster in the middle.
Good, beautiful chunks of lobster, and that's the big part. And they're so good.
They are. And the second thing you got to have when you're here, because we're staying on the sea here.
Well, oysters.
Oysters,
in my opinion, oysters. I love oysters, and you get great ones up and down New England. You just find them everywhere on the coast, and they're really, really fresh. And people can tell you when you go to order them, they'll tell you, if they're sweet, or if they have salt forward, or all the different sort of flavors that you get, or something in the middle maybe. But my favorite are the sweet ones. I could eat gallons of oysters every day.
And the thing
so much.
And the thing is, what's cool is a lot of places will let you switch it up. So if you get a half dozen, you can have 3 of one and 3 of another, or 2 and 2, or 1 and 1, which has been really cool. And also you can have, there's fried oysters if you want that too. There's all kinds of options for you. There's oyster stew as well, and there's so many good things.
Oysters Rockefeller.
Oh, also yes, you can't go wrong with that if you want a little cooked version of stuff.
Yeah,
that is good.
It is.
But we also have to think of other things. And our third thing you have to eat when you do come here is also from the sea, but we promise after the sea one we'll stop. And the third thing is the clams when you are here. Maybe you'll have some steamers, the steamed clams, or maybe you have fried clams at one of the stands on the side of the road.
Or whole belly clams.
Yes, whole belly clams. Oh man, they are so good. But the thing is the one you're probably going to see the most is New England clam chowder. It's a creamy clam chowder. Oh my God, it is so good.
It's our kids' favorite soup ever, I think.
Yeah, we after last year bringing them up here, and a couple years ago we brought them up here a few times. Yeah, they're always like, "Can you make that for school?" We're like, "I don't know if clam chowder carries well, but we find a way."
I try really hard. I'm not very good at it, but wow, it's so good when it's good and fresh and thick and creamy and yummy, and It's deliciousness in a bowl.
And you have it all over, which is really nice. And the thing is most when people think of New England, they think mostly of the coastal foods and stuff like that. And there are stuff, and your Vermonts, New Hampshires, they have fantastic food too. But for a normal tourist, those are the 3 big things you have to try. I'd say the 4th thing you want to do is when you come here, you're going to see a lot of regional specialties, and it's more like regional sweet treats you want to have. So do you want to name a couple of them?
My favorite is the Fluffernutter. I don't know if that's a treat or if it's a snack or dessert.
Or
but
lunch.
It's so perfect. It's a peanut butter sandwich with marshmallow. And there's nothing better to me than peanut butter and marshmallow. As a matter of fact, at home, I take giant marshmallows and dip them in peanut butter and eat them. So the Fluffernutter has just sort of, put all that together for me in a nice, compact little sandwich. It's awesome.
Yeah, and there's other good stuff too. You have the Boston ones. You can have the Boston baked beans that some people don't like and some people do love. She's not a bean person, but for me, the Boston cream pie, which is it's just chocolate on the top and the cake and then the cream in the middle. Oh my God, it's so good. So another thing you have to realize is sometimes they call things differently when you are here. A sub sandwich is actually a grinder in a lot of places, which are good. But the biggest one would be like the milkshake versus frappe thing. Because when I hear frappe, what do you think? You think
I think of a coffee, an iced coffee, or something whipped up in coffee-ish.
Yeah, but it's not here.
Not that.
Yeah, no. Here a frappe is actually like a milkshake in other parts of the U.S. The ice cream mixed with flavors stirred together, and it's so good. And the thing is here a milkshake is...
It's really just like chocolate milk. It's milk with a substance mixed in. I suppose they shake it. But so there you go. It's kind of hard to describe.
Yeah, but you'll see all these stands out there that'll have ice cream and stuff like that, and you can get it there, and you'll be like, frappe, that's weird to have here. It's like a milkshake.
Yeah,
and
it's
then,
not coffee.
Yeah, and then Liam and I got to enjoy, we were at Mike's Pastry Shop in Boston, and we got ourselves a whoopie pie. A whoopie pie, it's like really dense chocolate cake sandwich. Okay, so it's dense chocolate cake on the top, dense chocolate cake on the bottom, and then cream filling, like thick whipped cream. Oh my God, icing almost. It was so good. It's a total mess when you have it, and obviously Jocelyn isn't approving of me doing that, but we loved it when we are there. And the thing is, there's tons and tons of really great stuff to have here. But we've talked about a lot of sweets and foods, but what about the drinks when you are here? You want to say something about that?
My favorite is seltzer water. So I love seltzer water, and New England is filled with it. When you go to the grocery store, oftentimes there's as much seltzer water as there is soda, or more so than we have in the middle of the Midwest. So seltzer water, all flavors. I mean, if you can dream it up, you can probably find it in a bottle, and it's exceptional, and it doesn't have any calories.
Yes. And then on the non-kid-friendly version of the drinks thing here, you need to have New England beer. They have tons of breweries up here, and they're really good. And for me, Vermont breweries and Connecticut breweries, they top the list. I mean, they've got some of the best stuff out there. So if you do go to the liquor store, and the thing is, the liquor store here, you don't get to buy your alcohol everywhere, okay? So different parts of New England have weird liquor laws, so just a heads up for that.
Yeah, you may have to go to the liquor store for anything other than beer, although they'll have beer there too. But
sometimes.
Any kind of liquor might be there, and then at the grocery store they'll sell beer, maybe. In some places, it's all sort of
and like
different.
New Hampshire, there's an actually state-run liquor store, so
right.
You do have that. So do ask your hotel where you got to get it. But the local beer is fantastic. I mean, there's no reason to buy any beer you've already heard of. Go try the stuff that's made around here, and I would know. We keep trying them. We have friends up here that every time we meet up, he's like, try this one, now this one, now this one. I'm like, you're driving tonight, baby. So we have that.
So as you're eating your lobster, don't forget to wear the bib. Don't be above it, because it will save your clothes. I'm doing okay.